Hi Superhumans, I hope that you're all doing extremely well. My name is René and I'm dedicated to helping you and me become the best version of ourselves so that we can contribute more beautifully to this world. Today's video is so exciting for me because I'm going to share with you an exercise that I did a couple of weeks ago that has had a profound impact on my life. Ever since I did this short exercise that literally took me about 15 minutes to do, and it's really not that challenging at all, I found that I move through each day with more awareness and with a higher state of consciousness, and I'm able to just get so much more from my days and feel more fulfilled while doing so. So if you're interested to find out what this exercise is, then please keep watching. Before we get started, I want to ask you a question. Is it possible to read self-help books, to listen to podcasts and interviews, and to do online courses and yet still be unhappy? Well, I'm sure that you know that the answer is yes. So with the techniques that we're going to be talking about in this video, you are going to equip yourself to not only create a framework for being happy, but for actually being able to derive more from your life. The first thing that I want you to do is to think of what your values are. Now there is an exercise that goes along with this, and if you would like me to do the values exercise with you in a separate video, I'm more than happy to do so. But I've already done this exercise and you can use whatever method you'd like to, but come up with about the top 10 things that are the most important to you in your life. I'll tell you what mine are. Number 1 is forgiveness or letting go. Number 2 is joy. Number 3 is courage. Number 4 is commitment. Number 5 is intelligence. Number 6 is adventure. Number 7 is accomplishment. Number 8 is peace. 9 is health and fitness. 10 is financial security. And 11 is humility. Now my values are not exactly in that order of priority, but I would say that the top 3 things are the things that are the most important to me. If you haven't done this exercise, don't worry, you can still derive a lot from this video. It just makes it a little bit easier if you have some sort of idea of what's important to you before we get started. I feel very proud of the values that are on this list, but when I looked back at them and I actually thought about it, I couldn't figure out whether I was actually living to those values or not. It's kind of like a political party that is very good on paper, but in reality isn't so much so, and I'll leave it up to your imagination to figure out one such example. Basically, even though I prioritize forgiveness, I couldn't figure out if I was actually practicing forgiveness on a daily basis. Even though I prioritized joy, I couldn't quite establish if I was joyful all of the time. I mean, in retrospect, I know that ever since I developed that set of values, I've been feeling so much better and a lot more focused, but it's been really difficult to assess whether I've actually been abiding to it on a daily basis or not. Okay, so now I want you to get out a pen and a piece of paper because we're going to start this exercise. And whether you have a list of established values or not, at least your mind is starting to think about what things you prioritize the most. So the first thing that I want you to think of is the top 10 emotions that you would like to experience in a day. You're welcome to pause the video now to think of the emotions that you'd like to experience, and I'll share mine with you now. Mine are joy, peace, excitement, humility, bravery, adventurousness, accomplishment, good health, and confidence. Okay, that was easy, right? I'm sure that you've come up with a list of 10 emotions that you'd like to experience every single day. Now comes to step 2. But basically, you're going to take those 10 words that have the emotions you'd like to experience and then write down a sentence next to each word that describes the scenario where you experience that emotion. So now I'll tell you what mine are. Joy. I feel joy when I celebrate the gift of life and acknowledge that the gift of being here on this earth at this time warrants no further work to be celebrated. Peace. I feel peaceful when I am in the present moment and not occupied with the past or future. Excitement. I feel excited when the prospect of what's to come seems so great as a result of the work I'm putting in today. Humility. I feel humble when I acknowledge how much work there is still to do on myself and commit to not judging others based off of where they are on their journey at this point in time. Bravery. I feel brave when I do something that I am fearful of, despite feeling intense resistance to doing so. Adventurousness. I feel adventurous when I opt in for doing something that is a bit out of the ordinary and I take new paths and explore more of my environment. Accomplishment. I feel accomplished when I follow through with what I had set out to do. Good health. I feel healthy when I move my body and eat food that is nutritious for it. Being healthy also includes monitoring my interaction with social media and getting enough sleep. Confident. I feel confident when I focus on one thing at a time to progress and when I'm honoring the highest states of consciousness every single day. Again, feel comfortable to pause the video and take your time with this one because this is very important. This is the pivot step of our exercise. So the important thing is to acknowledge the feeling that you want to feel and then to be extremely honest with yourself about what the conditions are that would enable you to feel that emotion. And it might be something that you have some resistance to, but if you're really frank with yourself, you know that that's what you need to do in order to feel it. I certainly had that experience with some of these. Okay, now comes to step 3, which is creating a code of conduct that you can use to navigate through your life. Basically, you're going to be developing a set of promises that you can make to yourself based off of the previous 2 steps that will allow you to move through your life with ease and fluidity and help you to make decisions as you move through your day, and will also help you to assess the way that you are living your life. We rise to the level of our standards. If you set the bar and commit to reaching that standard and it's higher than where you are now, you will improve. But be careful, because the same is true for setting low standards. Once we drop our standards over time, we really do start to meet them. And you can think about this. Is there anything in your life where you would say that you have a strict standard of doing so? So whether it's that you are strictly somebody who showers twice a day because that's the standard that you've set for general cleanliness, then I'm sure that you almost never skip that second shower of the day because that's the standard that you've set. In fact, if you ever want to bring about crazy change in your life, don't focus on the fact that it will create so much effort to get to where you want to be. Rather, focus on the fact that if you raise your standard, you will meet it. So if you want to stop smoking, raise your standard to be somebody who doesn't smoke. Raise your standard to be somebody who takes care of their body and is very mindful for what goes in it. That simple change will allow us to identify more with the characteristics of somebody who has a higher standard and will make the change process a whole lot easier. I'm going to share my code of conduct with you now. This is the set of promises that I make to myself on a daily basis. I keep this with me and I read it every single day, but I'll talk about the application a little bit later. I promise to pray for guidance and give thanks for my blessings every day. I promise to forget mistakes of the past and press on to the greater prospects of the future. I promise to find something positive in every situation that I go through, no matter how hard it seems at the time. I promise to always think of what somebody may be going through before judging them for their actions and behavior. I promise to give so much time to the improvement of myself that I have no time to criticize others. I promise to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature I meet a smile. I promise to be so strong on the inside that I can choose to be gentle on the outside. I promise to talk of health, happiness, and prosperity to every person I meet. I promise to be as enthusiastic of the success of others as I am of my own. I promise that I'll always be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to permit presence of trouble. I read my code of conduct every single day, in the morning and in the evening. The purpose of reading it in the morning is that it provides a scope of things that I know that I need to care about. It gives me some sort of direction to move in through the day. I set my intention for the day and I try to make sure that all of my actions align with who I really am and where I want to be. In the evening, I use it as a tool of self-reflection. I read the code of conduct from top to bottom and think about whether I met that promise that I made to myself on that day. If I did, then I'm happy. If I didn't, I think about what I could have done differently to meet the promise that I set for myself. This means I have a game plan for the future and I too am happy about that. So my friends, get out a pen and a piece of paper and do this exercise because it really makes such a big difference. Ever since I've done it, I've just felt so much more clear about the person that I am and the person that I want to be. And every day I can come up with a set of things that I know that I can work on, and I'm very gentle with myself because the fact that I've realized what I can work on provides me a sense of comfort about where I'm going in the future. Please let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this exercise, and if you're brave enough, please share what the top 10 emotions that you'd like to experience in a day are. I'd really like to get some discussion going around this. If you want more advice and guidance on how to live an extraordinary life, then please consider subscribing to my blog. I'll leave the details for that down below, as well as a link to my latest article. It's been wonderful spending this time with you. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.